Your next reading is the firm and market structures. End of chapter questions extracted from your CFA Level 1 curriculum. A market structure characterized by many sellers with each having some pricing power and product differentiation is best described as, since there are many sellers, so it cannot be oligopoly. Since the firms have some pricing power and product differentiation, so it cannot be perfect competition, then it has to be monopolistic competition, because the market characterized by monopolistic competition is that there are many sellers selling differentiated product and they have some pricing power as well. So that makes C to be the correct option. Next, a market structure with relatively few sellers of homogeneous or standardized products. Few sellers, so it can't be monopoly. Many sellers, that's perfect competition. Since there are few sellers, so it has to be oligopoly. Fairly straightforward question. No twist whatsoever. Market competitors are least likely to use advertising as a tool of differentiation in an industry that is characterized by many small firms selling similar products. So it's perfect competition. So in perfect competition, there is no point in advertising. The product in perfectly competitive market cannot be differentiated because the product is homogeneous. That makes B to be the correct option. Next, Upsilon Natural Gas Incorporated is a monopoly enjoying very high barriers to entry. Its marginal cost is $40 and its average cost is $70. A recent market study has determined that the price elasticity of demand is 1.5. The company will most likely set its price at, we know whether it's monopoly, oligopoly, monopolistic competition, perfect competition, profits are maximized where marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, right? So for monopolist, what will be the marginal revenue? We know the formula, 1 minus 1 upon elasticity coefficient. Plug in the numbers. Marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, so it's going to be MC price 1 minus 1 over 1.5. Okay, so the marginal cost is 40. If you simplify this 1.5 into 1, it's going to be 0.5 upon 1.5. So making P the subject, what you get is 40 times 1.5 divided by 0.5, and its simplification should give you 40 times 1.5 divided by 0.5 is 120. So that makes C to be the correct option. The demand schedule in a perfectly competitive market is given by P is equal to 93 minus 1.5 Q for quantity being less than equal to 62, and the long run cost structure for each company is given as total cost is 25 6 plus 2Q plus 4Q square, average cost is 256 by Q plus 2 plus 4Q, and marginal cost is given as 2 plus 8Q. New companies will enter the market at any price greater than. Okay, so we are talking about a perfectly competitive market, and we are talking about the long run. The long run competitive equilibrium for a perfectly competitive market is where the marginal cost is equal to average cost is equal to price, right? So what we have been given the average cost as well as marginal cost, so we can write it as 256 upon Q plus 2 plus 4Q is equal to marginal cost, that is 2 plus 8Q. Well, cancelled out. 4Q, 8Q gives you 4Q to the left hand side of the equation. So 256 upon Q. So that would make it 256 upon 4. Q times Q is Q squared. And it's going to be 256 upon 4. It's going to be 64. So Q squared is equal to 64. That means Q is equal to plus minus 8. Since quantity cannot be negative, so our Q will be 8, right? Now, that's Q. Okay, now 8 is the quantity. Let us find out the marginal cost. Marginal cost is equal to 2 plus 8Q. Q is 8, so it's going to be 2 plus 64, that is 66. So your marginal cost is $66, right? So if the price happens to be greater than marginal cost, that is greater than $66, that will attract the new entrants. Any price above $66 will give economic profit. So this will attract the new entrants in the firm. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, companies most likely have a well-defined supply function when the market structure is a perfect competition. Large number of suppliers, hence not a single firm can influence the market price and quantity. And in perfectly competitive market, whatever the price is prevailing, you are the price taker. Whatever the market price is, you have to go by that. So for such market structure, the marginal cost schedule of the company is in a perfectly competitive market determines its supply function. So well-defined supply function is perfect competition, B. Next. Aquarius Incorporated is the dominant company and the price leader in its market. Price leader. One of the other companies in the market attempts to gain market share by undercutting the price set by Aquarius. A new entrant, let's say Z Incorporated, comes and tries to undercut in order to gain market share. They reduce the price. So what will happen? The market share of Aquarius will most likely, since Aquarius is in the dominant position and the price leader, Aquarius will decrease price further. Since it's dominant, it can afford to sell at the lower price, and it will simply kick Z Incorporated out of the market, and then eventually Aquarius will be able to increase and retain its market share. A is the right answer. Not only Z will be kicked out, perhaps many other competitors, smaller competitors, will be kicked out. Sigmasoft and Theta Tech are the dominant makers of computer system software. The market has two components: a large mass market component in which demand is price sensitive, and a smaller performance oriented component in which the demand is much less price sensitive. Sigmasoft's product is considered to be technically superior. Each company can choose one of the two strategies. 1. Open architecture, mass market focus, allowing other software vendors to develop products for its platform like Android. And proprietary, prop, allow only its own software applications to run on its platform. Well, that's like Macintosh. Depending upon the strategy each company selects, their profits would be given as follows. Sigmasoft goes for open, Theta Tech goes for open, both earn 4-6. Prop, open 700, 650. Prop 600, 400. Well, open and prop, it's about 800, 300. Now, the question, the Nash equilibrium for these companies is, we have read the theory. In Nash model, each company, Sigmasoft and Theta Tech, they will assess the other's reaction in selecting its strategy. So the Nash equilibrium states that neither company has an incentive to change its strategy when in equilibrium. So if you just look at this, Theta Tech is better off with open regardless of what Sigmasoft does, and Sigmasoft is also better off at proprietary, regardless of what Theta Tech does. So this is the highest payoff for both firms. So the Nash equilibrium for these companies is proprietary for Sigmasoft and proprietary for Theta Tech. In this case, the payoffs overall is less. Open architecture for Sigmasoft and proprietary for Theta Tech, that is open prop. In this case, Sigmasoft earns more, but not Theta Tech. But if you look at C, proprietary for Sigmasoft, 650, and open architecture for Theta Tech, 700. This gives us the highest payoff for both, so that makes C to be the correct option. A company doing business in monopolistically competitive market will most likely maximize profits when its output quantity is set such that the marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. That's what we have been saying repeatedly, that the profits are maximized when marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost, whatever the market structure it may be. Oligopolistic pricing strategy most likely results in a demand curve that is kinked. That's what we have been doing all along. We have read it in the theory. We discussed the kinked demand curve also in detail if you have watched my video on overview. So would you know? So that makes A to be the correct option. A. Next, collusion is less likely in a market when the product is homogeneous, more likely. Companies have similar market share, less likely. Why? Because when the companies have similar market share, the competitive forces will tend to outweigh. They'll compete. The competitive forces will be more dominant than the benefit of collusion, not collision. So that's less likely. Cost structures of companies are similar, so in this case they might collude. Product is homogeneous, they might collude, but here there is no incentive to collude because the competitive forces in these situations are more dominant than the benefits of collusion, not collision. So that makes B to be the correct option. Next, if companies earn economic profit in a perfectly competitive market over the long run, the supply curve will shift to the right. Why? Because economic profit will result in more new entrants. More new entrants will be attracted to the market. Hence, more new entrants means there will be more supply, more expansion in capacity. So your supply curve will shift to the right, or there will be increase in supply. That makes B to be the correct option. Over the time, the market share of the dominant company in an oligopolistic market will most likely increase, decrease, or remain the same. I bet it's decrease. Why? Because profit in such industries will attract new competitors. When the new competitors, new firms will enter, they will take away your share, so the share is likely to decrease. That makes B to be the correct option. 14th, a government entity that regulates an unauthorized monopoly will most likely base the regulated prices based upon long-run average cost, because profit is not profit. The objective is not profit maximization. The objective is to make monopoly viable, and the prices are based upon the long-run average cost. So that makes B to be the correct option. This allows the investor to receive some normal return for the risk they are taking in the market. Then, an analyst gathers the following market share data for an industry. The industry's 4 companies concentration ratio. 4 companies means ABC, Brown, Coral, and Delta. If you add their overall share, that would add up to 300 plus 250, 550 plus 200, 750 plus 150, that's 900. Divided by the total 900 plus 100, 1050. So it means the industry's 4 companies concentration ratio is 86%. That makes B to be the correct option. Okay, there are 5 companies: Zeta, Yusuf, Xenon, Waters, and Lastos. The industry's 3 firms, Huffington-Hirschman index is closest to. Okay, so these are the 3 dominant players with the shares 35, 25, and 20. So we simply take the square of the market share, that's expressed in percentages. If expressed in decimal, it's going to be 0.35, 0.25, and 0.20. If you square these numbers and add them up, it gives you the HH index of 0.08. 225. That makes B to be the correct option. One disadvantage of the Herfindahl-Hirschman index is that the index is difficult to compute. Not at all. It is very simple. We've just done it. It fails to reflect the effect of mergers in the industry. Well, when the firms merge, so the overall market share will be concentrated in 2 firms or 3 firms that have merged. So it does reflect the effect of mergers in industry. The disadvantage is that it fails to reflect low barriers to entry. It doesn't, of course, it cannot. It does not reflect the low barriers to entry that may restrict the market power of companies currently in the market. So this clearly is not possible, not even the previous one. So that gives you B as a correct option. Next, in an industry comprised of 3 companies which are small scale manufacturers of an easily replicable products unprotected by brand recognition or patents, so then anyone can enter. Anyone can enter this market, an easily replicable product. So it's not oligopoly. It is not monopolistic competition because the products are similar, so it's perfect competition. B, even the number of sellers are small, but the products are similar. So that's B. Moving on. Deep River Manufacturing is one of many companies in an industry that make the food product. Deep River's units are identical up to the point that they are labeled. Deep River Products produces its labeled brand, important point, which sells for $2.2 per unit, and house brands for 7 different grocery chains which sell for $2 per unit. Each grocery chain sells both the Deep River brand and its house brand. The best characterization of Deep River, it's not oligopoly because we do not have any indication that few firms are dominating the market, and there's no indication that there are many firms selling identical products. What we see is strong branding, and that's the feature of monopolistic competition. That's what makes C to be the correct option, and that ends your reading the firm and market structure EOC questions.